Wow.
It's just a good day to get in and go over tons of stuff that we've seen some, not necessarily slippage, even though that happens, but we had to just review a lot, especially with the newer guys and the newer rotations that we've had. So it's just good to get into the gym. The guys were eager to get in here today, and we just had a really good practice, something we've needed for a while and didn't get a chance to do it like this in OKC because I was stuck in the doggone minivan trying to get up there. So just grateful that we were able to get this kind of work in today.
Has Kane been able to do any kind of contact at all? Or?
He was on the floor yesterday doing some 3-on-3, 4-on-4. I think a little bit of 5-on-5. I was in and out of the gym, but it was in a pickup gym, not necessarily an NBA gym. From an NBA level of play, schemes, and all of that. And then we didn't do much contact today at all, but he did everything that we did today.
Monty, when you look at Devin over the first 3 games since Chris was out, how much of that was kind of an accelerated learning for him doing it in 3 games in 3.5 days, you think?
Accelerated learning? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I hear what you're saying. I think it was just like necessary learning or necessary situation. Just because I put him in a lot of tough spots. I mean, to have him handle the ball that much in every game, it's hard. But the thing that I know he knows, and I'm sure that the fans know, I have a lot of confidence in Book to absorb and deal with stuff. And sometimes I put him in a lot of situations that, can be a bit overwhelming, but I believe in him. I believe in his willingness to be great. And I know he's not going to run. That's the thing that I'm impressed with him is like he's just not afraid. And so there were times where I put him in situations that weren't to his benefit and didn't have the backside set up for him. But I'm okay with that because I know he's willing to do it, not just for me as a coach, but for the team. But it did allow for us to learn. To your point, I mean, there's some things that we figured out in 2 tough losses that we feel like are going to help us going forward. And there's going to be times later on in the year where he's got to take on the role of point guard and facilitate and be that guy. And so I think these last 3 games will help him in that.
To your point, what I was trying to ask is just how much putting that much on his plate in 3 games is going to help in 2, 3, 4 weeks from now.
I hope so. I mean, that's the thing that I feel like helped us last year. We weren't as apt to go 1 through 5 Reading last year. And then we got Torrey, and we were able to put he and Jay on the floor and just go small, and it worked for us. Well, we wouldn't have been in that situation had we not, gotten Torrey and realized he could play alongside Jay and play against bigger guys. But it happened earlier in the year, and we were able to apply it later. I think the same thing applies to the situation we were just in. So I'm hopeful that it'll help us going forward.
Things change when you get playing back.
I look at it a little bit differently in that it allows for the bench to have a bit more rhythm. It puts, if we are fortunate enough to get Cam back, it puts Cam Johnson back into his role on the bench, and now he can be the anchor out there as far as scoring, a guy who's been in our rotation for a while, and he knows what we're doing. Unfortunately, putting Cam in the starting lineup, it really depletes your bench. You look at the bench scoring the other day, and you'd have been like, man, this is lopsided. Well, Cam had 20-plus points, but he was in the starting lineup. And it just depends on how you look at the numbers. So I think it will give us a bit more balance. It frees Book up to not have to dribble the ball 300-plus times a game. I mean, that's a lot. And we've done studies on guys who dribble the ball that much. They get tired. And it's just a fact. And I think that's why Chris loves playing with guys like Book and Cam, because another guy that can handle the ball keeps you fresh in the game situation.
Specific mile markers to go to get Cam back on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously the injury part, making sure that that's 100%. He can't do anything that's going to harm him. But then it's just being able to get out on the floor and play in 5-on-5 and get through the soreness. And then the medical team saying, hey, he can go. That's probably the last hurdle. And once I get that, we'll be ready to go.
Al McCoy being honored for 15 years for the franchise. Can you put into perspective what that means in NBA terms to have somebody with the franchise for 50 years?
I mean, it just speaks to, who he is. To be able to have a job that long is a huge blessing. To have a job and be somewhat of not somewhat, he is an icon here in Phoenix. And to do it to the level that he's done it says a lot about him, his support system, his family, but especially him. I have had the privilege of doing pregame with him, and he would hit me with questions, and I would be like, holy smokes. He is on it. Sometimes you get questions, you don't even like them. You just can't show it with the facial expression. I knew he was going to come up with something that made me think. And I just had great respect for him working with him the first year. And I'm not a Phoenix foundational fan because I just got here, but I'm sure the people here appreciate that voice over that period of time. It's huge. I remember growing up with, Brent Musburger and Don Criqui. I mean, those were the voices that I heard, and they became staples. Locally, I heard James Brown before James Brown became a national figure. He was the voice for me. So I'm sure the people here hearing Mr. McCoy's voice, like that's their voice. And to be in that position for as long as he's been in says a lot about him and his ability to hold it down for such a long time. I think so. I talked to him yesterday. He said he was a bit fatigued in the game. I think the longer you play, the more sore it gets. So yesterday was a good day for him. He said he felt a lot better. I'm sure today he feels, even better. So because of the situation, I probably put him out there a bit longer than I normally would. And that's totally on me, but we've had to do some things out of necessity.
Did you hear anything from the guys about how the lemonade stand went yesterday?
I did not. They left me. They usually leave me out of it. So I didn't even hear about the lemonade stand. I don't think they wanted me to know because I would have shown up with 1,000 pennies and I would have asked for vegan lemonade and a fat-free napkin or something like that. I would have come up with something to just make Cam work. So I'm glad they didn't bother me because I would have overthought it.
I think they raised about $5,000.
Is that right?
About $2,000.
Well, they didn't need me. It's pretty cool. Hope it goes to a good cause and not Cam's haircut.
Monty, the last one that I had was DeAndre in the last two games has kind of found that mid-range jumper. Is there something to the way that teams like suffocate the inside where he can kind of float a little bit and find those?
Yeah, what's happening is teams are blitzing Book and they're bringing the low man and they leave a guy on the backside to guard two. So DA's in the pocket. He's getting that shot. It's a shot that he can make. We don't mind that shot. I ran a play for him to begin the game, and Rudy blocked his shot, but I didn't mind that. I like him taking that shot because it's a shot that he can make, but some of it's just been out of necessity because of the way teams are playing Book.
Other guys get bodies on me, or is that Aiden maybe even need to hang in there a little bit and get forward?
I think it's probably both. There's times where, he's up in pick and roll and he's got to get back to the paint. That's a lot. There's always times where a big guy can get another rebound or two. It's not terrible. But I think with the different defenses that we run, there are times where we go 1 through 5 and he's guarding the guy shooting the ball. It's hard to get that rebound. So I wouldn't over dramatize it. We know he's a guy that can go for 15 to 20 rebounds on any given night. And then there's the fact that, you know, our guards are doing a better job this year of getting in there and rebounding because of what happened to us in the playoffs. So they may be stealing a rebound or two from us. We've had a number of situations where we had to tip rebound this year, where Mikhail will come in and tip it to Jay or tip it to one of our guards. That may take it away. I don't want to make excuses for DA, but I think there's merit to both arguments.
Coach, you start off the season 1-3. Now after the break, 1-2 going into the game against Portland. So a lot of people saying for handful and some sort of what do you think about the example of like when you go into coming out from the break and the similarities that the differences from the start of the season?
I don't think they have anything to do with each other at all. I think it's when you win 49 games and you lose 2, and if you're panicking, then that's nothing that has anything to do with us. Every game you play, you learn. If you lose 2, you learn a lot. But panicking never even enters the process of how we operate. I don't think there's anything even close. I think we have an opportunity to learn without Chris, and we've had an opportunity to learn without Chris and Cam. These scenarios are totally different. So I think we're so focused on having a great shoot around tomorrow and going from there, but I wouldn't go that far with the emotional side of it.
Is it basically a blessing that people even
I think it's good to have those expectations. I think that's what you want. When you want to be in a position to do something great, you got to have a high expectations. And so we like that part. That's what we didn't have our first year. We didn't have much of an expectation. We were hoping. Now there's an expectation. It's certainly different, hoping and expectations. I think now we have a bit of both. We're hoping, but we have high expectations, and that's a good thing.
We'll finish with Melissa Rowland on Zoom.
Hey, Monty, how you doing?
Good.
So with Pop 2 wins away from becoming the winningest coach of all time, I had a few Pop-related questions for you. First of all, I know that he's been there for you a lot in various moments throughout your life. What moment kind of stood out the most and meant the most to you?
Holy smokes. With Pop, I mean, there's just way too many to narrow it down to one moment. Gosh, I mean, it's Pop. You know what I mean? I've known him since 1996, and he's just been a huge part of my life. I could talk about the dinners. I could talk about when I lost my wife years ago, and he was right there with me and for me. The funny story, I mean, there was a playoff series we were playing in Seattle, which will tell you how long ago this was, and we left the dinner, and Sean Elliott and I were in a cab, and Pop was in a car service, and he was behind us, and the cab driver said some things that I thought were inappropriate. And Sean looked at me, I looked at him, and I got out of the car, and I wouldn't ride with the guy anymore. I got out in the middle of the traffic in Seattle, slammed the door and got out and I was gonna walk back. I was that upset. And Pop was behind us and about 2 or 3 cars. He saw me get out. He could tell I was frustrated. He made everybody get out of the car service and walk with me. And he knew me well enough to know if I was that upset, something must have been wrong. And he had said to the guys, if Mont's that ticked off, we're gonna get out and walk with him. And that just sums him up. You know, he just has a great feel for situations and people. And he didn't even know why I got out. I could have been wrong, but because it was me, he made everybody get out of the limo and walk with me. And I looked up and they were all behind me walking. And it was kind of funny at the time, but the more I thought about that's just who he's been to me and for me and my family for almost 30 years. And I wouldn't be where I am without him.
Just as a quick follow to that, kind of what you just said right now. You just said you wouldn't be the man you are today without him. How much has he influenced you as a coach?
Well, he's the first person to believe in me. When I got into coaching, it was actually pretty tough for me to get a job because I was a forward and there were other variables that didn't, help me out. I wasn't a star or anything like that. And so there were opportunities for me that just didn't open up like I thought they would. And he was the first person to say, hey, you come sit in our gym and see if you like it. And basically said, we got you. We'll show you. We'll teach you. Had he not done that, I wouldn't be in this position today. And I'm grateful. I tell him all the time, he gets tired of me sending him a text because I'll text him from time to time and just thank him for what he did for me as a coach and as a person. But he was the first person to open the door. And he and RC just took me in and showed me pretty much everything. And if I hadn't had that, I wouldn't be sitting here today. Thank you.